quiero decirle al presidente, yo soy madre, yo tengo hijos, así como él es padre, él tiene hijas. Yo quiero defender los derechos de mis hijos. Si él quiere el voto latino, él nos va a poder ayudar.
Maria Cruz Ramirez has been traveling across the country for 6 weeks on the Undocubus. It's a caravan of undocumented immigrants riding from Phoenix to Charlotte in a mobile protest for immigration reform. Inspired by the 1961 Freedom Riders, the group staged demonstrations, street theater, and sometimes acts of civil disobedience along the way. They traveled through states with some of the harshest immigration laws in the country, risking deportation by coming out publicly as undocumented.
No tenemos nada que perder que el miedo y tenemos que seguir adelante. Pasamos la frontera y somos bien valientes y tenemos que conservar esa valentía.
A eso vamos.
In mid-August, a group of the bus riders arrived in Birmingham, planning to protest during a hearing held by the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. They spent the night in a local church.
Sabemos que muchos de nosotros podemos caer en esta travesía, pero habrán otros que van a levantar la misma bandera y no van a ser aterrorizados.
The next morning in downtown Birmingham, the Civil Rights Commission was gathering testimony about whether some state immigration laws foster racial discrimination.
Immigration is a topic that inspires both passion and controversy. This is a topic that is at the forefront of the national discourse.
However, no undocumented immigrants were invited to testify here. The Undocubus protesters planned to disrupt the testimony of Chris Kobach, who came to defend the strict immigration laws he helped write in several states.
Arizona's SB 1070 was designed to facilitate cooperation between local law enforcement and federal law enforcement.
Alabama has some of the strictest immigration policies in the country. Being arrested here could easily lead to deportation proceedings for the protesters.
Factor number 3.
Han violado nuestros derechos como seres humanos. Aquí estoy levantando la voz por mi comunidad.
We are undocumented, but we are human, no animal.
We're happy to have you here if you express your positions peacefully and quietly, but we ask you not to interrupt this.
The protesters were eventually escorted out by security, although they were not arrested.
You did not have someone in the room to escort these people out.
They're being escorted. I don't think they included this.
Well, you know, it's unfortunate that the protester tried to disrupt the proceedings. Absolutely, people are welcome to express their First Amendment rights on the street, outside of an event like this, but when they tried to shut it down or shut down the discussion, I think that was really unfortunate and inappropriate.
No papers, no fear! No papers, no fear!
The protest moved outside where it grew larger. One of the commissioners from the hearing came outside to speak with the protesters.
It's about fairness. I came out and found out that hotel security and now the Jefferson County sheriffs and the Birmingham police had all appeared to try and stop these mainly young people from coming in to express their views on this hearing. We created a public forum. So what I decided to do is see if I can negotiate a way for them to come in.
He also negotiated for 2 undocumented speakers to testify. A day some thought might end in arrest instead concluded in front of the Commission for Civil Rights.
We just need an opportunity, and we're willing and we're desperate to be legal. And we can work for the economy of this country because we're already here and we love this country.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
As the hearings came to a close, the Undocubus protesters were back on the road on their way to Tuscaloosa and eventually the Democratic National Convention.
Yo quiero que le escuche el presidente y que esta canción se le quede en la mente. Yo quiero que la cante toda mi gente, pues soy inmigrante, hay sudor en mi frente. Yo quiero que lo sepa el continente, más allá de la frontera también somos gente. Allí en Azteca, allá hay un pueblo resiliente. Soy hijo del maíz, vengo de América.
An update on this story: 10 protesters were arrested outside the convention last night for civil disobedience. They were released this morning. I'm joined now by Charlie Gonzalez, chairman of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, to talk more about this and other issues. Congressman, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It's an interesting issue, an important issue. Democrats seem to be staking out one side, Republicans another. What do Latino or Hispanic Americans want to see with regards to immigration reform?
What we've been trying to do for 15 years, and that's comprehensive immigration reform. We know what the president's been able to do through the deferred action on the Dream Kids, but really it's more than just the Dream Kids. It always has been, and that is the tremendous undocumented population in the United States, and what are we going to do? Because they're essential to our economic well-being. So it really comes down to, again, stressing the need for comprehensive immigration reform, which benefits this country.
Does your caucus have to do work among its constituents about, as you said, the president hasn't gone all the way as some people would like. Have you had to convince Latino and Hispanic Americans that they should stick with this president despite his not going all the way?
When we explain what has transpired in the past few years in Congress, and it has not been the Democrats that have blocked comprehensive immigration reform. It was not Democrats that voted against the DREAM Act. The problem is that you have legislative gridlock. And what happened a few years ago was that the Senate was taking the lead on comprehensive, never got out of the Senate because, again, the abuse of the filibuster rule. In the past 5 years, Republican-led filibusters now exceed 180.
And that's stopped legislative action on this.
Oh, absolutely. It will stop everything in its tracks, which it's not. It extends to immigration and many other issues.
I'm interested in your opinion of the Republicans on this issue, because this is an issue, comprehensive immigration reform, where the Bush administration, George W. Bush, actually felt very strongly that there was a need for reform. You think that party has changed?
It's gotten worse. Obviously, it's gone in the opposite direction. We commend and we applaud former Texas Governor George Bush because he understood the issue, and that's why he took an enlightened and rational approach, which you don't have anymore. I don't know when the Republican Party is going to wake up to good economic policy, because that's what this represents. I understand the human factor. It's important to us. It's dear to my heart. It's part of my family's history. But just out of common sense, practical application of good laws and policies, we should have comprehensive immigration reform. You can ask the chambers of commerce throughout this nation. They are not allies of the Democratic Party for the most part, and they will say the same thing.
Hispanics have taken a place in this convention that I think is probably unprecedented in American politics. Why is that, and do you think it's just the beginning?
Well, there's always been room in the Democratic Party, and we haven't been excluded. We haven't been marginalized by the policies of our respective parties. The problem with the Republicans, it's not that they don't attract one or two minorities here and there. It's that their policies really exclude greater participation by minorities. That's the root cause. They know it, but they're not going to change that, and I don't understand it. Because it's only a matter of time when the political reality and consequences of the reality catch up with the Republican Party. They're trying to hold out this last time. My advice to them is, I just don't understand why you don't do the right thing by the country, which will be doing the right thing by your party.
Congressman, thanks for joining us. We'll see if the Republicans are listening.
They won't.
Thank you again, sir.